Hey everybody, this is So Many Sequels, your book club for movies. I'm Josh.
I'm Garrett.
And I'm David.
This week on the show, it's a So Many Sequels grab bag, and we have a lot to catch up on.
That's right. The movie release schedule this month wasn't so great, so we decided to catch up on some movies from earlier in the year that we hadn't talked about yet. Some good, some bad, some new, some old, yeah.
Plus, Taylor Swift made a big splash by bringing her Eras Tour to a place that makes movies better. All that and a little Jimmy Buffett cameo.
Be sure to follow us online at SoManySequels.com, where you can find our back catalog of all our episodes, as well as links to our social media accounts. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Threads, on TikTok, and of course you can find us in whatever app you prefer for podcasting. And we've got the video up on YouTube, so be sure to check that out. And then finally, if you really love us, and I'm sure you do, you can support us directly on Patreon at patreon.com/so-many-sequels. If you sign up there, you can join our exclusive Discord, hang out with us there, talk about movies, and just all other kinds of fun stuff that we like to do there. So check that out, patreon.com/so-many-sequels. Without any further ado, enjoy the show. What is that?
Boys, it's vacation. I got
Stein
my
of
beer.
beer?
Yeah, it's vacation. We're not talking about movies like normal. We're just here chit-chatting, hanging out.
If I drink a beer at 9, I'll be up all night.
Well, you know, it's Labor Day weekend, so.
I just had a
Yeah, but I still don't want to
had a
be up all
cold
night.
pop.
Oh my God, that's that caffeine. That's going to keep you up.
I got a limoncello.
Hey, I ain't got nowhere to be
Caffeine-free.
tomorrow, all right?
LaCroix. I just got to do homework.
Best
I
case
guess.
scenario, I'm taking my kid to the zoo. That's like the big thing I got going on
Oh,
tomorrow.
wow, you could have taken me. but
That'll be
whatever.
fun.
Everybody can go to the zoo if you want. We have the yearly pass.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, it ends up if you go like at least twice a month or something like that, it ends up working out. Like it's kind of an
Hey,
AMC A-list level
and,
of deal.
I feel like with a kid, that's easy. You know?
Oh yeah, and he
Because they always want to go to the zoo.
always wants to go to zoo. Last time we went, it was actually a awesome day going to zoo because we got there early and like every one of the big animals was out. Normally, you know, the lion, he's in the inside part, but this time they were all out. They were all out.
I tell you.
walking
You
around.
get there, you get at the zoo in the morning, and that's when the animals are the most active, I've found. Because, you know, when I was unemployed working during the pandemic from home or whatever, if the zoo was open, anytime that I have, like during a weekday and I want to go to the zoo, I try to get there in the morning because there's not a lot of people, and that is when they're the most active. I will say, we went to the zoo a while back, and we went to the monkey area, and I have never seen this before, but I was scared to death because I saw a real life angry chimpanzee, and it was scary.
Oh, yeah.
and
Those are
like
fun.
they on multiple occasions jumped in the air and front forward kicked the metal doors that were in the cage and just like the whole zoo was echoing with this angry monkey kick, and it was one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my life.
I feel like I was with you at a different zoo, and maybe Andrew was there too, and a similar thing happened. Does this ring any bells to you, Garrett?
We went
Did
to
we
the
go to a
Oklahoma
zoo
City
in
Zoo.
Chicago or Oklahoma City? And I feel like a monkey like hit the glass in front of Andrew or something, or a kid.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell the difference.
You are correct, I believe.
But I feel like
that
I
did
remember that
happen.
happening. And I
Had
was
to
like, it
have
would
been,
be Andrew. He
when we
pisses
went
off
to
every
Chicago,
animal he looks at.
because we went to that. They had beautiful free zoo in Chicago. It's gorgeous. Highly recommend.
What I'll say about the Tulsa Zoo, and like don't look at this as dogging on it too hard, because it's not their fault. They've made a lot of updates and added exhibits and stuff, but it makes me kind of bummed that the majority of it seems to look exactly the same as it did when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wish they could really upgrade it better than this, because like once you've seen it for the next 30 years.
Yeah,
That's not untrue.
I remember doing
It's not,
field
and I
trips.
hate that.
I remember doing field trips
You know?
to it when I was a kid, and in many ways it is the same. Now, the crazy part is what they have changed, because the elephant area is like a completely, like they've like gutted out all the stuff that was in there. They used to have that big mastodon that was about to stomp on that guy. Do you remember that? And they had the trunk thing that you could control that was broken like probably 2 years after they put it in. And
I will say,
yeah, so like that's all
ahead,
gone.
They are making a new. This has turned out a PR podcast for the zoo, but that's fine.
TulsaZoo.org.
They got a lot of baby animals right now.
Yeah, sponsor us, why don't you? We've got. I think they're building a new elephant exhibit.
They are.
They're trying. They're trying to make everything kind of like regional. So like animals that you would see in the same kind of area that are kind of grouped together. In the past, they were kind of just sprung out, and it had like highlight over here, and they're trying to group them together. And I like what they've done with some of it. So I think that they are working. It's just a slow pace.
What animal would be in the So Many Sequels sponsored exhibit?
I am a red panda fan, so that ties in. Okay. We've done, we did the red panda
Turning
movie
Red
that we Turning Red. I feel like that would be a great mascot.
Okay.
Fascinating question. Personal favorite animal all time is the rhino. So my heart
that's a number 2.
My heart leans there. It's gray, so it matches our color scheme a little bit with the black and gray. Let me do some quick statistics. Josh, what do you think? I'm going to look at our stats, see if there's a common animal we've had in our shows.
So for some reason, and I think it's because of the nature of movies and movie theaters and cinema and all that, I picture us being a nocturnal exhibit. We're in a building, we're in a room where the lights are really low and you're like peeking in the window at the bats and other like nocturnal creatures because it's dark when you watch movies.
That's true.
So I kind of see us sponsoring a creepy crawly nocturnal exhibit.
A bat, a snake maybe.
That's fun.
Hard to not say. We've done 4 Ninja Turtles movies. Hard not to say a turtle. One of the big tortoises, maybe.
We should do now. That's what we should do at Tulsa Zoo. Listen to this. we should have a thing with new movies. And, if there's a turtle movie, maybe we sponsor the 100-year-old tortoise. Maybe we sponsor the Timon and Pumbaa someday. They got meerkats and
they got lions.
And
tigers.
And I think they even have a warthog.
They got a bear. It's not on cocaine, but
they do not have a cocaine bear. But they could, with one simple little thing.
In Tulsa, it's more like
mistake.
It'd be fentanyl.
Oh, that's just sad. Meth.
This
meth
podcast
bear.
is dark.
It got dark, but it'll come back around.
Yeah,
That's wild. Yeah, I think red panda, and nocturnal creepy crawlies and a rhino would be good.
Yeah, there you go. The rhinos were actually out the last time we were there. I was so excited because normally they're just in their little barn, but they were actually running around in their area. Little baby one was running around. They've got a lot of babies over there.
Zoo I saw a rhino at. I haven't been to the Tulsa Zoo in a hot minute though.
They have made a lot of changes.
Definitely worth going.
But
definitely worth going.
But it is like they still got some work to do. The new stuff is the kids play area. They've really expanded that out. When I was a kid, it was just like one big train that everybody pretended to be Indiana Jones on.
I did a couple of years ago go to the Los Angeles Zoo, and that was really cool. They got a lot of good stuff there. Big sprawling zoo. Saw a giraffe. Those were cool.
Yeah,
that's dope.
Baby giraffe at the Tulsa Zoo right now.
Oh, they got a baby now, huh?
Yeah, they got a little baby giraffe. It's pretty cool. It's not all brown like that giraffe in Cincinnati or wherever it was, but
I was going to ask, do you guys remember when everybody was freaking out over that elephant or that giraffe that was going to give birth on a live cam?
I do.
We were. What was wrong with us as a society, as a species?
Simpler times.
Hey, you know what?
Were we that desperate?
That's the purity element of the internet that we want to cling to. It's just the idea that we could all be watching
April
and
the
waiting
giraffe.
for a
that
zoo,
was her name.
or a giraffe.
Yeah,
one of my coworkers is still obsessed with Fiona the hippo.
Yeah, I remember being in news at the time, and I always wanted to stream the giraffe. And I don't blame him. It was like 1,000 live viewers every time watching this giraffe lay in the dirt.
I tell you what, people love nature. All right, we've streamed bald eagle cam. Where there's just eagles in this nest all day, and they fly out and they come back. Bald eagle cam. One of the best impromptu live streams I ever did in news was like 3 years ago. There was a volcanic eruption in Hawaii, and so there was just lava pouring out of like one of the feeds that CBS had access to. Streamed that for like 2 hours. Tons of views. It was great. People love nature.
That is true.
All right, we can't use any of this. This is all.
Nah, we can use some of it. I do want to talk a little bit about movies because I've tried to catch up and see some things lately. I've honestly watched a lot of old movies, but I did watch one new one that I wanted to bring up.
As did I.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, well, 2023 movie. I won't say it's new.
I watched last night a new movie called Bottoms.
Oh yeah.
You guys hear about Bottoms at all?
Heard tell of this.
It stars
just the stories.
It stars Rachel Sennott, who you might recognize from a few indie movies she's done. She was in Shiva Baby a couple years ago, and then co-starring Ao Edebiri, who we've talked about on the show previously. She was in
She's
Teenage Mutant Ninja
everywhere in
Turtles.
2023.
She's everywhere
She's the
now.
star of 2023.
And the best way I can think to describe this movie is it's like Superbad meets Booksmart meets Fight Club, and it's really fun. So the premise is these two girls, and this is because I said I brought in Superbad and Booksmart. It's raunchy. These two seniors in high school, they're both queer women, and they decide to start a fight club at school in order to get laid. That is their plan. The world you will, because I want you guys to see it as soon as you can, because it's one of my top movies of the year already. You have to accept that the world's a little absurd, and you kind of get that as it goes. You're like, oh, I can't think of this as real life. It leans into the absurdity in the ways where like the whole school is solely obsessed with the football team and winning the big rivalry game, and they are obsessed to the point where like the principal will like rig the school to help the quarterback, and like it's goofy absurd, but it is so funny. I feel like it really captures this type of like Gen Z and millennial humor where like nothing matters, nothing's real. It like really leans into that idea, I think, and it's just really funny. It's got a weirdly strong message in the same ways that Barbie does, where it's like, oh, this is really goofy, but there is some seriousness in the layers. So highly recommend Bottoms. I laughed my bottom off.
Haha.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I would have high hopes. I think that potentially my comedy bone is like broken at this point, because I feel like comedies just aren't doing it for me as much anymore as they once did, and I don't know why.
It's because they're not as funny. I really think this is a thing. Like, I think we're in a dry spell of comedy. I don't know if it's the pandemic that has kind of like more warped our minds for a little bit. But no, I think you're right. Comedies have been lacking in the last several years.
Yeah, and that's not to say there haven't been movies. I've seen movies that have made me laugh, that are funny. Barbie was funny. Dungeons and Dragons was very funny, but I wouldn't really consider those like pure comedies. And
no, the strictly like comedic low budget movie or mid budget movie like doesn't exist anymore.
Do you think it can? Because like I look at like movies like Liar Liar and stuff, and like Jim Carrey, he back in when he was box office king, it would just be a literal stupid movie. I don't know if that could be as successful as it used to be, and I don't know if people want that. I mean, I feel like it would just be like a week of funny. And then that, but I feel like if you want to be funny, you have to be more than just a comedy anymore, because you don't get that kind of attention and everything happens so fast. So like you'll be in there a week and then something else will come out and then people will be done with you. And I think that could also lead to like, I don't know, short form attention. Maybe we see something that's funny and then we move on. We see something. I don't want to sit there for an hour and a half and laugh at the same thing.
No. And I think it's because what audiences find funny changes over time, right? Like what worked in the 90s doesn't work now. What works now wouldn't have worked in the 90s. So I think Hollywood has to figure out what audiences find funny, because I don't think
TikTok,
they know right
that's
now.
what they find funny. That's all they find funny is TikTok.
And that is probably why we're seeing more comedy movies starring younger Gen Z leads like Bottoms, like Bodies, 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 and a few others, because they do know what's funny to people today, and then like older people just don't. Like I think back to another big A-list raunchy comedy, No Hard Feelings, came out earlier this year. That was like okay at best. And it was because they didn't know what was funny, because they were trying to make people in the early 2000s laugh. It just missed, because it's like, okay, Jennifer Lawrence just saying the F word while naked is not funny. It would have been maybe 15 years ago, you would laugh at that because it's shocking and funny, I guess. But it's not funny anymore. It's just...
It gives old school vibes.
It gives old school vibes. So I think they're spitting out way too many old school vibe comedies movies.
And I mean specifically the movie Old School.
Movie.
Like where
Old School.
There's a little bit
that too.
Where there's like there's like a little bit of like physical like humor as well, but it's, I don't know, like I think it comes down to personalities. Like you mentioned Jim Carrey, and obviously there was that long stretch where Will Ferrell was just really big. But I just kind of feel like whether it's the people who dominated in that category years ago, like your Adam Sandlers and your Will Ferrells and your Ben Stillers and your Jim Carreys and gosh, I'm probably leaving somebody else off there who made like a big string of movies. Maybe Eddie Murphy. Like,
right,
they're not making big movies anymore, or popular movies anymore. And then like I don't feel like anybody, maybe with the exception of Kevin Hart, has really come up in this to fill that void, to be just like a powerful like comedy every year and a half. Robin Williams used to put out like 3 movies a year, at a certain point. But I just don't feel like any comedian has stepped up to that level in the last 10 to 15 years, maybe with the exception of Kevin Hart.
Yeah, Kevin Hart's had a decent movie run, but I also don't know if I think actors sell movies anymore like that. I don't know that exists anymore.
But I think that's how those mid-budget comedies worked. Like
at the time, but now
they relied on the star power of the lead.
Mm-hmm. And now they have to figure out what else to rely on, because star power has lost a lot of meaning.
And it has, and I think,
and that means they're going to have to rely on strong writers.
They're going to rely on good writers. Definitely not the writers of Cocaine Bear. I watched that this week, last night.
Oh, is that what you watched, David?
I watched Cocaine Bear. Not really very funny.
You didn't like it, huh?
Better as a thriller at times than it was a comedy. If it was supposed to be a comedy, it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't that funny.
It's based on true events, David. This really happened.
It's historical fiction at best.
This is really really what happened.
The worst written true events that ever happened. Because it was just, I don't know. It just felt like they. I don't know. It felt like even when they were writing it, they couldn't come up with like an original idea to embellish the story. You know what I mean? It was like, by the time I realized that I was in the final act, I was like, this is the final act? Like, this is it? Like, this, they could have gone so much bigger and so much crazier with what this is.
What would have been a successful Cocaine Bear to David?
I'm curious, too.
To me, that general premise is about as far as crazy as you can go. So how much farther would your brain have taken it?
Okay.
Because I feel like, again, I ain't singing the praises of this movie, but if you're talking about absurdity and wild and crazy, literally A Bear on Cocaine is about as tops as you can get.
I know, but it just didn't go anywhere. Like, the bear was even like not even that much of the big.
You want a character arc for the Cocaine Bear?
Bear wasn't even that big of a threat. The other people were the bigger threat, really. Ray Liotta was the big threat in that movie.
Ray Liotta was always the big threat.
Yeah, and then I got to be honest, I completely forgot that Ray Liotta passed away like within the making of that movie, because like the movie came up at the end, it said "in loving memory of Ray Liotta," and I was like, that's weird. He died in the movie. Oh wait, he died in real life too. That's too bad. Cocaine Bear manages to get inside a SWAT van and gets taken back to society, and now he's loose in the city. That's something that would have raised the scale a little bit, I think. I don't know. Like, I don't propose to know the perfect way to write Cocaine Bear, but I can tell you this: what I watched was so dull. midway towards the end, I heard my wife gasp, and I walked back, and she was watching TikToks that were 2 times as entertaining as Cocaine Bear. So I don't know.
I believe that. I do
I
believe
don't know.
that.
I think there's a lot of things that have gone into to what's killed comedies, mid-budget comedies. I think that I think an element of it is like a lot of people. Okay, so what is it? Adam Devine got in something where he mentioned the Marvel. He thinks Marvel movies have had an impact. I would also like to argue that I think that like Judd Apatow movies have had an impact because his version of comedies have been very popular, right? But they're so dependent on like low key stakes, like very very tiny, it's very real, very like concrete ideas, right? Like there's nothing overly absurd that happens in most Judd Apatow movies, right? Super bad. They're in high school, knocked up. It's just people got knocked up, right? This is 40. 2 people turned 40. Like it's like very, and like you go back to like those movies, whether it's the Will Ferrells or the Jim Carreys, like everything is like do like this things just get bigger and bigger and they just build to this massive crescendo that's like, and there's just comedy all along the way. I don't know. Maybe I'm overreacting on that. I'm just like thinking like, well, what's been popular? What are the comedies that have succeeded? And I don't know. But I'm glad to know that I'm not the only one. I just feel like I've watched comedies from the last few years. I'm just like, these aren't that funny.
No, you're right.
Anyway, random tangent. But Garrett, have you watched anything new?
No. I feel like, did I talk about the fact? I can't remember if I already talked about the fact that I watched Asteroid City. Did I talk about that?
I think
No, you watched Asteroid City.
I feel like I did. Yeah, I did. It was good. It was fine. Perfectly fine. Again, I feel like that's if this is a rehash, I won't make it too long for the dedicated listeners who remember more than me. Clearly, because I don't remember if I already had this or not. But it was fine. I really like the aesthetic of Wes Anderson movies more than I like to walk away from them. Usually, I walk away going, I don't know. It looked really cool. It was a little too much to follow. But that's what he does. Characters were fine. They were enjoyable. Again, it looked great. It was just one of those where it's like, I appreciate what you're doing. It just goes a little over my head. And like, I'm okay with that. Sometimes movies are smarter than me. And this is one that you could argue is. So if you're a fan and I don't get it, that just means the movie's smarter than me. How about that? Don't attack me, internet Wes Anderson fans. I'm afraid of you.
Well, they're gonna.
Hopefully, Judd Apatow fans don't come after me.
There was one other newish movie I watched, which was on Netflix, and it was another comedy. You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah. You guys know about this?
I feel like
I do.
Heard
it's
title.
an Adam Sandler. It's Adam Sandler written, and I think it's got his kids in it, right?
It's Adam Sandler and his whole family. It's super
I'm
weird.
game for that. I'm game for that.
His wife is in it, but doesn't play his wife. Idina Menzel does. Adele Dazeem.
Of course.
And his real life daughters play his daughters in the movie. And Adam's really not in it that much. It's more about the middle daughter, Sunny Sandler, I believe.
Okay.
So it's like absolutely nepotism, the movie. But they're pretty good. Like, they're pretty good. I've never seen them act before.
Yeah.
And it was interesting, and it was nice to see Adam Sandler in like a pulled back dad role where he really just kind of popped in when he was needed.
Yeah.
So it was interesting, you know.
I wonder.
I'd recommend it just because it's streaming. I don't know if I'd spend money on it, but it's not a dumb Sandler movie. Go ahead.
Should it count as nepotism when your parents are the ones making the movie? Like,
well,
clearly they made
Netflix making the movie.
Well, like clearly though, Sandler was like, I want to make a movie with my kids. Like that's like the whole premise. It wasn't like he wasn't like, I want to make a family movie, and then he was like, and I'm casting my kids.
I call it nepotism, the movie, jokingly. I don't really care, but like technically, it is right. Like it is. Well, that's what it is.
I think,
but it's fine. I'm fine with it. I don't have a problem.
Get your kid a job.
Yeah.
Not necessarily you, but this would be like if you made a home movie, but you got to have Netflix pay for it.
Oh, that's what happened. It is a Netflix original.
There you go.
Couple
All
older
right.
things I just have to spit out because I've been on an old movie kick too, as I rewatched Napoleon Dynamite.
Based
Kind
on
of,
because of Surf's Up's high recommendation. There you go.
yes, because of Surf's Up. That also I thought held up well. It's come up in
Okay.
conversation a few
How?
times lately, so I felt how.
David was never a fan, though.
I wasn't.
It's
But
not
oh
that.
well.
Well, if you were never a fan, you're not going to be now. But I mean, it aged well
Yeah.
in the sense of like it didn't age poorly. Like I didn't watch it and think, "Ooh, some of this is bad now." Like, no, it's pretty, still pretty good. There's a few lines where it's like, they probably wouldn't say that today, but it wasn't horribly offensive. But I still think it really captures how weird high school in a small town is. And I know that, like, I don't know. I didn't grow up in a small town. I went to, Broken Arrow's a huge school, but it feels small town, so I feel like, this is what it feels like.
Maybe,
I
David,
think
that's why
went
you
to a
don't like it,
small-
because you went to a small town, right?
Oh
Try that in a small town.
no, I don't think that's why I didn't like it.
Okay.
I grew up surrounded by idiots, and so that's probably why it felt very similar. No, I really liked the Uncle Rico character was the one that really cracked me up of all the characters in
Yeah,
that
he's
movie.
funny.
When he's like, "You think I could throw football over that mountain?" I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty accurate around here." But I remember everybody. This was another one of those movies. It was like Anchorman and Talladega Nights, where people just relentlessly quoted that movie over and over again. And by the time I finally saw it, I was like, "This is the movie." There's not
I
a
could
movie
see
here.
you being sick of it if you hadn't seen it until after the oversaturation.
For sure.
After the
I
explosion.
think
Like I
rented
probably
it for
saw it.
Blockbuster.
Yeah, I think it was a similar situation for me. I just remember thinking like this. I was like, "Is this all the deleted scenes playing back to back? Where's the movie part of this film?"
Amazing. Well, what else we want to talk about?
I don't
David, you had talked about,
Like I wanted-
we
I told
got
you
to
all the
talk about the
movies I
big.
saw.
We got to talk about the big news, and that's the Taylor Swift, right?
Yes.
We got to talk about Taylor Swift.
Extra
getting in there.
Swift.
Josh, you're the Swift spurt.
Huge Swift
talk
spurt
about this
on this
and the
show.
excitement that you and all of the other Swifties in the world probably are feeling as these concert dates continue to be announced.
So look,
if you will.
literally the hottest ticket on the planet is Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. You can't get it. You can't get in unless you're one of those super fans who can go 3 times in 6 countries. I don't know how they do it, but they
I know
exist.
some people that way. They have
See, I knew
one
it.
here, 2 overseas.
Craziness. I wish I could do that. I tried to get in the first batch. Ticketmaster said F you. They did a second batch a couple weeks ago. Ticketmaster said F you to me again. So I was like, I'm never going to see this show. I just want to go see this concert. I like her. I've been a fan for a long time. It's never been more cool to like Taylor Swift. For a very long time, it was
Very
not
true.
cool.
Oh yeah.
And I just had to sit there in silence being my little Swiftie fan. And now it's cool and I want to go. So I can't. But the Queen came through the other day. Surprise announcement. The Eras Tour live, or not live, but the Theaters Tour live experience in cinemas starting October 13th. What's interesting about it is, I need to read more into this, but AMC is apparently acting as like an exhibitor and distributor for this film. So they're involved in it in some way. But they're also playing it at Cinemark and Regal, so it'll be nationwide. And people lost their marbles.
My understanding
as
is that
you might
Taylor
expect.
Swift is going to actually jump out of every AMC whenever she jumps into the stage. I think that she flies out of the AMC.
If she does, they charged way too little. But I was able to get in. I was able to finally get a ticket. I'll watch her on a TV screen the size of the moon, but that's fine too. It's not live, but I'll take it. Now, what's been cool for theaters... Bye, David. Hopefully he'll come back, because I was just about to like go into stuff that I thought he would have stuff to say, box office wise and whatnot. But so when I got on to buy the tickets on AMC, I was met with a freaking online queue. They had such a server overload that I was like, it was like, you can buy tickets to Taylor Swift's Eras Tour in 15 minutes, and I had to sit there and wait for the app to cool down and let me in. And this was if you wanted to buy tickets to any movie. You couldn't. You had to wait in the queue. I read
Goodness
later.
gracious.
So AMC put out a press release saying that it was like their single day ticket sales ever. But they also said they had been working on it and they upgraded their server capacity to handle 5 times the normal amount. And that still required them to use a queue system.
They were more prepared than Ticketmaster.
They were more prepared than Ticketmaster, but it still is like, look, she's the most powerful person alive. I'm convinced of it.
Yeah. I'm not really sure what sparked the, I won't say resurgence, but sort of surgence of Taylor Swift. I guess it really has to do with her settlement and all that.
Look, this could be
but-
I could tell you everything. I could tell you everything. I'll give you the spark notes. The Swift notes is that she has a great comeback story. She controls her narrative very well. You might remember a few years ago, this big dust up with Kanye West and Kim, not the one where he tried to take her award away, but the one where he accused her of like backstabbing him.
Illegally recording him and stuff.
Right. So she was like canceled before canceling was a thing. So she went away for a long time. Then the real recording came out, and it turned out Kim and Kanye doctored it because, of course, they did. They're terrible people and always have been. So then she was like, "See, motherfuckers, I told you, I'm good." Then yes, there was also that settlement where she sued a radio promoter, I think that sexually harassed her, but she sued him for $1 just to prove a point. So there's all these things where people are now like, "Oh my God, this woman is like not taking shit and not taking no for an answer, and she's doing this big comeback." So I think that's the resurgence, because I think people are like, "Yeah, yeah."
The resurgence.
Oh, and there's the whole she's taking back her musical recordings,
right?
Because they were stolen from her,
right? So she's the Taylor versions are coming out.
So she said, "Fine, if you won't let me have my masters, I will simply re-record all of them and render them useless to you."
Yeah.
And the fans were like, "Yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome!" To the point where they like the hardcore fans will not listen to the streams of the stolen versions, they call them. They don't want to give that label any money.
Interesting.
So that's my opinion.
The resurgence has sort of inadvertently captured my wife, who was probably the number one Swift hater in the world for a long time, for many years.
And she's come around,
going all the way back to the Joe Jonas days. She was a big Taylor Swift hater. So she was a pre-established Swiftie hater, right? And for whatever reason, well, I know the reason, but I won't get into the nitty-gritty of that. This year, she's turned the corner. She heard a song, and it changed something. Something grew in her. And now, by virtue of not changing my opinion at all, I am the Swift hater in the house. Just because I like her, but not enough to love her.
Yeah,
I like Taylor Swift a lot. Now, I'm a loser who still likes her probably what was the one where she released Shake It Off? Probably Speak Now and earlier is still my favorite era, if you will. But
you're not wrong. I'm a big fan of debut era, and I'm waiting. I'm waiting for that little country twang to come back.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. No,
I'm a simple man. I'm simple as I liked that first pop album. I thought it was really cool, but I wasn't really interested in going along. But now she's bigger than the Beatles, so like I don't. I'm happy for her. But if you want to talk about the movie and these pre-sales,
It's hugely important to cinema. I think
info on that.
I was going to say, before we even get to what has already been done, is this going to be the number one movie of the year? Do the Swift Nation have it in them to make this the number one movie of the year?
I'm not willing to say that, but I will say they do have it in them.
I don't think.
Okay, that's fair. I believe they have it in them. If they really wanted to, they could do it.
So it's only releasing in North America right now. So we'll only get to look at the domestic record. So like it's not going to touch Barbie's 1.3 whatever billion worldwide. But it could, I'm not going to say it couldn't hit domestically that 500, 600 million mark. I don't know anymore because all bets are off with Taylor Swift things. No one expected the tour to do what it did. And it's already smashed single-day sales records, and it's already beaten Spider-Man No Way Home's pre-sale record. So, like, I don't know.
It's very it'll be very interesting to see because I mean if it only has like a 4-week run, if it has like a limited run, if it's only in the United States, it'll be hard to say exactly. I mean, there's only so many, and if it depends on if they're going to have it in theaters every day of the week, or if they're only doing like I don't know, you know what I mean? So
I can
how
already
many
tell
screens they
you
can put it on.
that initially there were only a smattering of showings, and they quickly added a metric butt ton of them. So,
Yeah.
Well, you gotta
Like,
think
when
about
I-
how many millions of people cannot see this show, and this is the only way. Like you, Josh, you're like this is the only way that you can see it. And if they were
Probably.
smart, they would keep this in the theaters until people stopped buying tickets.
I would expect that because I think the theaters will be desperate to keep ticket sales going.
They're going to need something. I mean, the writer. This is an added element, I guess you could say, of the writer strike. I don't know how quickly they put all this together, but with movies, with some movies from this year already getting booted to next year, the theaters can't take a risk on that. So if they can get something like this, and it sounds like there's no major studio involved with this.
No, like I said,
some of the studio heads are upset about that, as you would expect. So like the theaters, it's exclusive, like with AMC and Taylor's people, and the other theater chains are involved as well. But according to The Verge, the single day sales, they shattered it with 26 million on day one. No Way Home had the record with 16.9. Now, I was reading from other box office analysts that the projection right now, it's going to come out October 13th. The projection for now is a minimum of 70 million opening weekend, which would be very, very good. I know that doesn't sound. It sounds like if the pre-day sales are better than No Way Home, it would open bigger than No Way Home. But that's just people who have obviously bought ahead of time. You don't really know how many people will go the weekend of, so it could be more, could be way less. But if it is, I'll tell you this: if it is, say, 75 million, it would immediately become the biggest ever concert movie ever released. This is a little game I played with my wife the other night. Do you guys want to try to guess the number one concert movie of all time?
Pink Floyd, whatever they did.
Glee.
I'm gonna go Pink Floyd.
No, Garrett, no.
Justin Bieber,
Give me
Never
Pink
Say
Floyd.
Never.
It's what it is. It's Justin Bieber's Never Say Never. Grossed a lifetime gross of 73 million back
Didn't
in 2011.
BTS have one that came out a while ago too? I feel like that'd be
BTS
pretty high up there.
Did have one. It did not go very high in
Really?
the United States. No.
Oh.
But I think you could get number two. I think you could. It brought in 72 million back in 2009. Now think, who is on the level of a Taylor Swift at this point?
No one.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, maybe no one.
Oh, the Queen
but-
Bee, Beyonce.
No, Beyonce. I don't think Beyonce's had a.
I don't want to say it, but like, I don't think she's as big anymore.
Now I'll tell you this person
In 2009, she was.
Oh yeah, and that easy.
This person is dead.
Yeah. So I just found some information from Billboard about the release deal that they made with AMC. So initially, they did Taylor's team did talk with typical studio distributors at first, but all those talks broke down. This is my assumption coming in here. I assume because they were being dicks about it, like they are
Probably.
when they're negotiating with literally everyone alive right now. So the headline is How Taylor Swift Ditched Dealing with Hollywood Studios to Release the Eras Tour Film with AMC. And so, long story short, it sounds like Taylor Swift's dad, Scott Swift, knew through somebody, the CEO of AMC. They got on the phone. The CEO of AMC negotiated it directly with her parents and ended up with a deal for theaters to receive 43% of the gross box office, and the remaining 57% will be split between AMC and Taylor Swift. So
Wow.
AMC going to be making bank on this, and the studios, are probably furious. But you know what? Find more ways around the studios.
I mean, at this point, it could also be one of the biggest indie movies of all time in that regard.
Yeah.
Since there's no major distributor. The
David,
other
what
movie,
was
by the
number
way,
two?
It was This Is It. Michael Jackson's "This Is It"
Oh,
was the
would
other
never
one.
guessed that.
But this will probably be, if it opens, say, above 70 million, it'll be the biggest of all time, and probably like leave all the other ones in the dust.
Do you guys have any
So,
concert films that
there we
you
go.
liked growing up? Or
Blue
any,
Collar Comedy Tour.
you know, for me, like, you know, I was thinking more along the lines of like growing up, you know, I would always listen to or watch the Fleetwood Mac, the dance, or I believe it was the dance, you know, that one, the Garth Brooks from 1991, I think, whenever he's
Yeah.
up there singing in the dual disc live album that he has. It's not
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a film, you know, but it was a live like concert
I do
to
like
those big live events that they had. You know, that's really what I remember growing up.
I don't
remember
think
watching Garth's Central Park concert on HBO. That was a cool one. And then I also remember I really liked Michael Jackson's "This Is It" when it came out. I watched that and had the album. But I wasn't really huge into concert films.
No, I don't think I've ever really seen one, at least not on television. I think I probably saw the NSYNC one back when it was on television at some point. You know, NSYNC did Bigger Than Live or whatever it was back in like 01. So yeah, I don't know. Probably that. I can't say that I've seen that many. Are you, Josh? I assume you are planning to try to see Eras.
Oh, I've already purchased a ticket, yes.
Oh, there you go. I wasn't sure if you said you'd actually managed to pick it
No,
up
I
or
did
not.
get one. In hindsight, I wish I had waited because they added more screens. And so when I got on, they were only showing it in Dolby and IMAX like one time a day, and now they've like kicked out whatever else was in there and fully booked it because now there's a ton of show times for Dolby and AMC and IMAX. Many of them already sold out. Not surprising.
Now,
after
do
what
you
we've
have
seen.
have you picked out your costuming for the event?
I have.
There's gonna be a lot of Swifties there.
There are going to be
a lot of opportunities there.
Swifties. I will probably be seeing this movie at least twice with different people. So it depends on if I need two outfits or not. What era will I be? I don't know.
Will you
I'm
be
more of an
Jake
Evermore era,
Gyllenhaal?
I think. No, I would never do something so brazen
Red
and
scarf.
stupid. I don't want to get attacked.
Yeah.
Although it would be funny to walk in with the red scarf. I'm really curious as to how it's going to go because there's already, like, I've seen funny TikToks of people, like, green screening themselves in a movie theater, and it's like me watching Exorcist on October 13th, and all they hear is Taylor Swift in the background from the side theaters because audiences are being encouraged to dance, to sing, to wear costumes, to make friendship bracelets, all the stuff they're doing at the live tour. They're saying, do it in the movie theater. I don't know if they will because there's a weird unspoken rule that I don't know if people will break, but it is apparently encouraged.
Oh, they'll break.
So I'm curious. If they do sing and dance, maybe I'll join along. I don't want to be the one weirdo, though.
Oh yeah, you don't want to be the person who starts singing, but you definitely, if everybody else is already doing it, it's hard not to.
I'm hoping people sing along and just dance in their seats because I think it would be weird to stand up and dance in a movie theater.
You don't want to be me and be the only guy singing "Push" in the middle of the Barbie movie.
That would be the point, I guess. Fits that perfectly.
There you go.
No, it'll be fun. It'll be good, and it'll be good for theaters.
I don't imagine I'm going to see it, but
Really?
does
You're
work.
not even curious in any way, shape, or form?
No.
You'd rather
Not
watch
really.
Cocaine Bear than this.
Can I
No,
ask?
I would
don't want-
rather-
I still
I
don't
would-
want you to get into the nitty
No,
gritty.
David, you literally would rather watch Cocaine Bear than this.
No, that's
Yes.
not necessarily the case.
But you did watch.
That's absolutely
Cocaine
the
Bear.
case. You said you don't think that you have any reason to see this.
Because-
You willingly sat down and watched Cocaine Bear. Thus, you
Because-
absolutely would rather watch Cocaine Bear more than this. There's no arguing that.
Because I could watch Cocaine Bear in the quiet of my home.
That's
I
true.
don't want to go watch a Taylor Swift movie with Swifties.
Oh, yeah,
That's
you
going to be
do.
like, what's the point? What am I going to be able to hear or see?
That's the best.
She's
time
going to
see
get up
it.
there and she's going to be like, sometimes I have a bruise or something like that. Then she's going to start singing Bruise, whatever that Bruise song is. And then everybody's going to be yelling the whole time during the movie. I'm not going to be able to enjoy that. That's like going to see Rocky Horror Picture Show.
That's called a concert.
Like you're going for the audience experience.
Have you been to a concert before? I mean, it's basically going to be a concert. I imagine this
I'd
is
go
going
to
to
the
be a whole
concert.
concert experience of people, but you can't get a ticket. That's why all of these people are going to be there singing at the top of their lungs. Like they're not going to be able to stop them. They're just honestly, if I were AMC, every single theater starting at the same time for maybe 1 or 2 days is nothing but this movie, and then everyone can just sing.
Well, especially for places like where we are in Oklahoma, where this state does not have a stadium big enough for her tour. That's the issue. Like we can't see her because we don't have the infrastructure to support her popularity. I've just, that's the way it goes. That's
She
the way
can't
to
sing
word
it she can't sing it like in like Norman.
a college football stadium. We're talking about NFL stadiums. This woman's filling.
I mean, that's all we got to offer. Is
I know, and
we
she
can give you a
says, "Not
70,000
enough."
seat stadium. How many's Gaylord said? I don't know.
I don't know,
But,
either. A lot, but
It's a lot.
74, just about 74.
We saw a super show there one time.
we did
with,
see a super show
Garth
there.
Brooks,
Little
Toby
long,
Keith,
but a little hot.
Willie Nelson was there.
Toby Keith.
Brooks and Dunn.
It was a good show.
Mel
Tornado
Tillis.
Relief. Man, I had something else.
Yeah,
I was
no.
gonna say
I
about
mean,
that, but
I hope
forgot.
it does well. Yeah.
I think it will. Oh, yeah. Another detail in the article was that part of the deal is that theaters must carry it for a minimum of 4 weeks. They can carry it up to 26 weeks without worrying that the terms of the deal will change. And after 13 weeks, of course, Taylor is free to put the film on a streaming service if she wishes.
Oh, AKA.
Ooh,
I
that'd be
assume
So
Apple.
it comes down to I guess she can decide whether to keep it in theaters after 13 weeks or put it somewhere streaming. Probably Disney or something. She's been doing Disney stuff lately, I think.
Has she? Okay.
Well,
I assume my first thought would have been Apple.
Well, that's possible too. I just know that the Folklore sessions came out on Disney Plus, so
I never listened to those,
yeah.
but heard good things.
Anyway, I didn't expect to get to nerd out on Taylor Swift so much. Let the internet roasting begin.
No, I think you'll have your allies. Is there a word for allies in the Swiftum?
Just other Swifties, I think.
All right. Well, yeah, I don't know. That'll be big. That'll be a big weekend. Will it be the #1 movie of the year? I don't know. I don't think so.
I kind of don't think so either, but I can't.
I think
say
it definitely, if they leave it in for like you said, 26 weeks, almost 4 months, it'll probably do well over 100, 200 million, 300 million.
Is this
for sure?
Is this a Halloween movie? Can we consider this a Halloween movie?
I guess we don't really
definitely
know
will be
until we
scary.
see it because there's costumes.
My thinking
Are there parts
is
that are
there's
scary?
costumes.
I don't know. Maybe
There will absolutely be screaming people.
there might even be blood.
There will be
Yes.
blood. There will be tears. Sometimes when you cry,
There will be trouble.
Let me say this though. This is
People
something
will
that
be screaming for God.
I didn't even consider this until well after I read
Pictures
it.
will burn.
So when the same day the film was announced, Universal and Blumhouse went, "We're going to move The Exorcist up a week to October 6th." Taylor Swift got Universal to move The Exorcist off of a Friday the 13th release date.
Dang.
Think about that double layer, because her favorite number is 13, so everything's 13 with her. But that's also the perfect day for a horror movie to come out. And it was going to be the Exorcist sequel. And David, I don't know if you've seen that trailer yet, but it's the scariest trailer I've seen in a long, long time.
Very scary, David.
It's
We're
very
gonna make
scary.
you watch it. Oh, hey,
no.
wow, we should talk about this next week since we don't really have a plan. But we are going to be doing our Halloween month, and
Yeah.
that could be a fun one for people to consider. So,
It could be.
What, The Exorcist
yeah.
or Eras Tour?
Well, that's what we'll debate next week. Is that a horror movie?
The Eras Tour will be a bonus episode hosted entirely by me. It's fine. I'm just going to sit and talk about
I want to see it.
Okay. Yeah, go.
I ain't
let's
scared.
do it. I ain't never scared.
I don't know.
Is,
I probably
is-
won't be able to sing, but I want to go.
Is your girlfriend a Swiftie?
I mean, listen, I'm at the same level as you. Like, I like Taylor Swift just as much as anyone. I'm not a part of any kind of like hardcore fandom, but like, I will go and appreciate the songs and the music and be a part of the whole experience for the fun of it.
I don't want to be a part of the experience. That sounds atrocious.
You're scared. You're
in the
scared.
back.
I just want to be a private showing would be amazing.
Do you know,
No.
again, without having to ask you to go into the nitty gritty, do you know what song turned Nikki around? I gotta know the song.
Hang on, let me text her real quick.
Oh! Don't make it a whole thing, though.
Oh, Oh man.
Because she threaded something about the other day, and I was like, I thought she didn't like Taylor, but I could be wrong. I couldn't remember. Well.
All right, text is sent. It was one of the more recent ones. I can't remember what it was.
I'm sure it
but
to do that. Not to bring things down too much, but Jimmy Buffett died.
That's true. That's true.
And I completely forgot, but I saw his Jurassic World cameo getting spread around. You guys remember his cameo in Jurassic World?
No.
There's a Margaritaville in Jurassic World.
And when the pterodactyls attack it, he is seen double fisting margaritas and running away.
Well, trying to drink one.
It's clearly Jimmy Buffett. He doesn't speak a word. He's just in the background.
It's a great way to handle Jimmy Buffett right there.
I know.
So the song from Nikki was "Bigger Than the Whole Sky."
Oh, that's a great song. Okay.
Bigger Than the Whole Sky. So that was what turned her around.
Yeah, that's a great song.
And she's been getting very deep into it lately.
Oh, good.
But she's sort of hate followed Swift for so long that she kind of knows all of the lore anyway.
It happens.
Jimmy Buffett's great. I've been. My wife told me yesterday morning when it happened, so I had to go and get the morning donuts for the crew. So I just listened to Jimmy Buffett the whole way to and fro. You know, son of a sailor, pirate looks at 40. Obviously Margaritaville, can't leave that one out.
Cheeseburger in Paradise.
Cheeseburger in Paradise. So 5 o'clock somewhere, obviously his feature on Alan Jackson's tune. But then also, do you remember Josh when he did like a super group of country singers singing "Hey Good Looking"? Do you remember that?
I listened to that yesterday. Yeah. It's got like Clint Black, Toby Keith, who else
George
is on
Strait.
it? George Strait. It's a great lineup.
Kenny Chesney. Oh yeah.
Kenny Chesney, the rightful heir to whatever Jimmy Buffett owned, I guess. He's the only other island guy that exists.
Puka Shell's Country. Yeah. No Shoes Country. I guess that should be what it's called. That's the name of his XM station is No Shoes Radio. So no Shoes Country music. I mean, it was kind of funny because I remember Jimmy. It felt like every 3 years Jimmy Buffett would be on CMT handing the Puka Shells to someone else. Like it was Kenny Chesney, and then like it was Alan Jackson after Alan Jackson did 5 o'clock somewhere, and then he was like, it's Zach Brown Band now because Zach had like 3 or 4 beach songs on his first album, and then he featured on their second album as well. But it's an interesting. I've seen a lot of like AP articles and Rolling Stone doing a couple different features on Buffett and like his. He did something that only some artists managed to do, and that's like he created a character for himself, right? Like a very specific brand unto his own, and that was like beach bum music, right? And like nobody else really, when you think of that brand, it's like he's his own genre, right? Mm-hmm. And like some people just manage to carve out the niche for themselves, and so
my understanding of Jimmy Buffett's career is that he tried to get started in Nashville and it didn't work out, so he said screw this and started playing island music, and people were like, yeah, that's what we're talking about.
He is such a generational type person that but also at the same time he spans generations. Jimmy Buffett did.
He does.
I've been shocked. He's the only one to, you know what, you could make an argument that like Kenny Chesney almost falls into that category of like when the sun goes down, kind of like Jimmy Buffett type thing.
He is definitely the heir apparent of Jimmy Buffett. He's Kenny Chesney.
Yeah. Outside of that, it's just.
But I've been shocked just looking at TikTok and Instagram, the number of really young people who have been like devastated.
Young people and old people really like like you get in that mid range and it's like whatever, but then you get like outside that middle demographic. That's where Jimmy Buffett thrives.
Now radio isn't what it used to be, but I remember when I worked in radio. Josh, Garrett, you may remember this as well. But when I worked in radio, Jimmy Buffett, specifically Margaritaville, was the only song that was on every format. It was in.
I didn't know that.
In contemporary country. It was in, like old country. It was on 92. It was on classic rock station, and it would be occasionally featured on like adult contempo. Just because like like specific. It's just a vibe, and it just fits. It fits country mentality. It fits classic rock mentality. Like it's just he has no specific brand. And I just always thought that was funny is that I could be listening to the classic rock station and Margaritaville be playing, and I could switch over to country, and all of a sudden Margaritaville was playing. And I just thought that was so funny.
He is the living, breathing island David Pumpkins.
I'm Jimmy Buffett.
He's his own thing.
He's his own thing. Margaritaville is number 6 on the Spotify charts right now.
Wow.
Oh man, great song. I was always specifically a big fan of Pirate Looks at 40. I just thought that was such a fun, wistful song. He's got a couple of good wistful songs that people need to check.
We're gonna have to gather the band and go up to Margaritaville and toast a parrot.
Is there a Tulsa Margaritaville?
At River Spirit. He was here several years ago to open it. Not even several, honestly. I don't
go to the 5 o'clock somewhere bar. We'll have a good time.
We need to do a.
I've heard it's the best part of River Spirit. Like it's really nice. Like since they've added it.
We already did.
Until the crowd dies down though.
We already did Surfs Up, but we should do like a beach movie month one of these days. In honor of Buffett.
I can get into that. I can get into that idea.
From Justin to Kelly. What are some of the
beach makes you old.
The beach makes you old. I liked that movie though. Is the problem?
I know it's not.
It was
bad.
Pretty
it's
good.
Oh man.
It's not bad.